So, hello everyone. It's me, Demetra K, and I am sitting here with Donovan, the recovering Democrat Sadiq. This is the Demetra K Show, and I should say at the top of the hour that we are not live, but we'll be live later at about 5 p.m. Central Time to have a conversation with you all. But the purpose of the Demetra K Show is to promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even, because we are great people, but we can always strive to do better. Again, thank you, Donovan, for sitting here. Today, we're going to talk about something that is going on a little bit closer to home for Donovan and home for me, because I am, California born and raised, and specifically closest to the area that I was raised in and where Donovan is. Of course, we know that there's been an uprising, if you will, in California in regards to the California Legislative Black Assembly due to what they did in the end of August, sabotaging the reparations bill. There was two of them, one to establish a Freedmen Bureau, and the other one to, in regards to the funds, right? So the Freedmen Bureau was to disperse the funds, and of course the actual funds. Now what happened was they decided and took it upon themselves that they were not even going to take the reparations bills to the floor at all to be voted on, because they lied, essentially saying, oh, it's not going to be, Gavin Newsom's going to veto it. And he said, well, I never said that. So nevertheless, the Black Democrats, I should say, politicians there, lied to their constituents and stabbed Black people in the back. I should also say, though, Gavin Newsom did veto a bill that would return land back to descendants of Californians who were slaves and some people who are still alive, right? And he said no on that, but he did say yes to a apology. He says, yes, I will render an apology. Whereas, he had those people standing up with him, the same ones that Black people in the back, they stand up there really proud. But what we're going to talk about today is there in the IE, Moreno Valley, to be exact, where Corey Jackson's district is 60. They showed up to an event that they have every year. It's like a Black politician gala or something that they do. And I'm going to show y'all a snippet of them showing up and showing out. Donovan?
Hey, welcome back to the Demetra K podcast. We are happy to have you guys here. Do us a favor. There's a scrolling banner at the bottom. If you want to continue to have these great conversations, there's a way that you can donate if you can. Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, cash, money order, however you guys want to do it. It helps the show go a little bit longer, because it does take time to make these shows and come up with these great conversations. So again, what we're going to talk about today is actually where I live. Where this event actually happened is down the street from my house. But before we get into that, you guys, do not forget to download the African Diaspora News channel. You can get it on Google Play and the Apple Store. And it is an app where we can talk about issues that deal with Black people in the African diaspora. You can keep it up on events around the world from great contributors like Demetra K, Brother Phil Scott, Vicki Dillard, and a whole host of correspondents and producers in the continent of Africa and in the Caribbean. So I think that's a great thing to do. Do a yearly membership. I think that is the best way to do it. So your card or whatever doesn't have to be charged every month. Just get it out of the way, and you get great content. In addition to this, you will get other videos from Demetra K, and we can talk about those. Sorry about that, you guys. We can talk about issues the way we want to talk about them without being censored. Demetra, in my opinion, the way things are going, when we're using other people's platforms, we're going to be censored more and more and more. And that's a report has come out by the government that says private industry has been busted for censoring things in regards to politics, the Democrats and the Republicans, mostly more so Democrat, as they don't want us talking about certain things and getting the information out there. So again, African Diaspora News Channel app, you can download it Google Play, Apple Store. You could also go to the YouTube channel, download it there, become a member, subscribe, share on your platforms.
Absolutely. So once again, we're going to get into the conversation in regards to Black people really starting to wake up and just say, no, we're not taking this anymore. Specifically, the disrespect and the lies from these Black politicians, namely Democrats, that continuously get to office on the backs and the votes of Black people, and then get in there and do for everybody else but Black people. But first, I'm going to show y'all. It was like a lot of footage from a brother named Gorilla Panther. So I want to give him the credit for that original footage. But this particular video is actually a woman that I know. Donovan knows her as well. She was actually my jazz teacher. So and I won't give her name, but she's huge in the Inland Empire. She's been around for a very long time. Just me even telling you she's my jazz teacher since I was in the 9th grade tells you how long she's been involved in Riverside, Moreno Valley.
Well, that's you're only talking 13 years then.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah.
So she's the head of the NAACP, the junior chapter for the youth. As I think she has a entertainment company that's educational. So she's really big into Black politics in Riverside. But and I'm sorry if I'm pixelating. It's been doing that a lot lately for some reason. But this beginning of the footage I'm going to show you is her. She's upset that people are taking Representative Assemblyman, I should say, Corey Jackson to task. Check it out, and then I'll show you some more.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. He's lying to you in there, though.
Yeah, he's lying to you, though.
You don't have the government owns 47. Let me tell you, no. There's a good man here.
No. I hope she don't follow me on YouTube. I really hope she don't. But I'll remove her, okay? So she says, this is a good man in here, okay? She's mad. She is mad that Black people have said, I am sick of it. We're not putting up with it anymore. How dare him, Corey Jackson, and he'll be on the front of this thumbnail so y'all can see him. Corey Jackson, a Black man. I should say he is of the LGBTQ ilk. And he's definitely pro that, right? That pro agenda. They were pro the immigrants getting health care, and they were for the $150,000 home loan until Gavin vetoed that, right? I think he vetoed that once they start to see Black people turn up, right? So she's mad. He's a good man. How dare you guys come out here and do what you're doing? Now, this is a snippet of what they were doing. Check it out.
From Black people, stealing direct cash payments and diverting it to nonprofits that give money to non-Black entities. We want reparations. We want redress. We want housing.
Yeah, we want reparations now. Corey Jackson against reparations. He got to go.
The descendant-led organizations, but they say they're for reparations. We have a problem, Black people, that we need to fix. We need to stop selling each other out.
So, again, that was Black people from the IE, and the lady in the yellow, she's one of the attorneys that helped draft up the reparations and stuff. Remember, they had the study in 2020. There was a committee fashioned there in California to see exactly if Black Californian descendants of slavery would get anything, and if so, what, right? So she's basically saying that y'all sold us out. Corey Jackson did sell Black people out. Now, it's not just Corey Jackson. It's all the other ones in Los Angeles, just all over, right? And I've also seen Isaac Bryan. He's also been taken to task. He represents Los Angeles, a portion of Los Angeles. He's been taken to task as well. So Black people are starting to wake up and say, nope, nah, and stop talking about it's the Republicans, when it's the Black Democrats who are horrible to the people who vote them in there. But see, the problem with that is, Donovan, and I also like to attribute social media into the awakening of a lot of things that's going on, because before that, they could run, roughshod all over people and just say anything and be like, well, that's what they said. But now with social media, you can see and hear things in real time, right? So it's like, now you can't deny it. And of course, we should say that it was a assemblyman, a Republican from the Inland Empire as well, who was the one that busted him. He was like, I saw them standing at the floor not even taking the vote up to the, to be voted on. So he said, I was trying to do it and they were blocking and stopping me. They were mad. And he's like, no, I think it's important that the Black constituency, that these people who represent them are playing games with them, right? So we're starting to see an awakening. Donovan?
Well, that Hispanic Republican, most likely 9 times 10, and I'm not trying to speak for him. In politics, it's about gamesmanship, and what he did.
He's actually Muslim.
Yeah, exactly. But it's about gamesmanship or whatever. Now, the issue, and this is what I try to tell people that come on our platform or even message me and whatever the deal is, because they think I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Blah 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 blah. Because I actually put the video up and I showed it to Demetra, because that issue happened right down the street and I didn't even know it was going on. but I digress. It's about gamesmanship. The issue is not if you are for reparations or you're against it. I want you guys to understand this. For a bill to come to the floor, it takes a hell of a long time to do that. So how much of our tax dollars was spent to study reparations? No other group has to study it. When the illegals come here, they give them the resources. They give them the money. There was no study. 5 million plus California tax dollars was spent on this study. 5 million plus. A little bit over 3 years of going through committee. Now, when you go through a committee, it goes through a finance committee to see if it's feasible. Obviously, it's feasible. It made it through committee. Now it's time to vote. The issue, again, is not if you're for reparations or if you're against it. The fact of the matter is, it's time to vote. Let's put the votes down where they belong and see where it goes. And those people who are against it, they will show who they are. And those people that are for it, they will show who they are. But this group, this Congressional Black Caucus of California, ran defense for Gavin Newsom. It was a bunch of BS and all this other stuff. And Corey Jackson, who is the 60th Assembly member, he's going to sit here and he does not want to return my phone calls, does not want to meet with me or any of the constituents. And by the way, you guys, with the gentrification of LA, of Black people being pushed out of LA, basically, there are now more people in the Inland Empire, Black people in the Inland Empire than ever before. And Demetra, guess where what city in the Inland Empire most Black people who've been kicked out of LA live in now?
Murder Valley.
Murder Valley, right in my city. This is the biggest population of Black people in the Inland Empire. For those of you guys that don't know what the Inland Empire is, it's a conglomerate of a bunch of cities east of Los Angeles, okay? So a lot of Black people here. And like you just saw, our good friend Sharon, who has been very active, and God bless her and God bless anybody like her who are still fighting that civil rights battle. But see, what they don't understand is their battle is totally different than our battle. Their battle was to see Black faces in high places. But for us, that's not good enough now. We want the money. We want the tangibles. And that's where we're at. And in Corey Jackson and the CBC, if you guys do your homework, these congressional bootlicks do not want to meet with anybody because they are on the run. They are hiding out. Notice Maxine Waters hasn't said anything. Barbara Lee, any of these so-called national Black leaders of the CBC, they're not saying anything. You want to know why? Because what do they tell us on the national level? Well, we can't get a George Floyd bill because there's not enough Democrats to pass the vote. Or there's not enough of this or that. We need to elect more Democrats. We need to elect more Democrats. How do you explain California? We're a super Democratic state. We even have a Democratic governor that was threatening to veto a bill that would help Black people. Long story short, in California, the biggest homeless group is Black people, that being Black women and children. And we already know statistically across the United States, Black people are the most homeless. So this bill would have helped thousands of Black people get out of poverty. And our own people, Corey Jackson included, none of these CBC members want to meet with constituents, but they sit here and talk about they represent Black people. Every one of them should be removed. They should not go back into office. They need to be removed because it's a new day. If you do not do the work of Black people, you will be removed. We are the only group of people that say we represent a group of people and we represent everybody else but the people we're supposed to represent. If this was a Hispanic issue, that bill would have gone to the floor and they would have gotten tangibles. This was an Asian issue, same thing. White issue, same thing. We are a super democratic state. Demetra, I do not see how Black people looking at California can sit here and say, I'm going to stay a Democrat when we have everything they say we're supposed to need to get what we're supposed to get, and we didn't get it.
Yeah, and that's Assemblyman Bill Saley, the Republican Muslim guy that actually busted him. But back to my jazz teacher, who said, that's a good man in there. It's like, opposed to what? Surely she's heard about the sabotagery that they did to Black people. So it's like, what about that is good? Now, I think we also should, acknowledge she is of the baby boomer crowd. She just is, right? And a lot of the people that were coming in and out of that door as the brothers and sisters that were protesting against Corey Jackson, a lot of them that were coming out of there were of the baby boomers. Listen, I'm not one to shame the baby boomers because, I think it's a lot of us that are that's been complicit in what's going on with us. But since a lot of them were there and they were defending that, it's like you're calling this man a good man, but that good man, quote unquote, along with all those other Black caucus members, decided to kick Black people in the tailbone, and you don't have a problem with that. Now, I would say a lot, if not all of those people that were at that meeting are part of the NAACP. Supposed to be for the advancement of colored people. Now, of course, we know colored people can be anybody, Asians, Arabs, Hispanics, right? Because that's why we disassociate ourselves from being people of color. But y'all supposed to be for the advancement, but then those caucus members went up there and didn't even advance the bill. They sat on the bill as Black people were in the vestibule, if you will, hopeful that they thought that the people that they elected were going to take those bills to the floor, and they didn't know. As Bill Saley said, how would they know? We're inside the closed door. They don't know what's going on. They're out there hoping that this is going to go to the floor, and they're not even doing that. So when I hear her call him a good man, it's like, dear elderly sister, what is your measuring stick to say that is a good man? Why? Because y'all buddies, y'all could sit up in a room, and by the way, those people that were protesting, those brothers and sisters, they weren't even allowed to go into a public center. It was a public meeting. They were denied access. Now, I don't want to be remiss in saying, okay, I don't get it, because, yeah, they were turning up, right? They want to take it to Corey Jackson and ask him, hey, damn all this stuff y'all talking about. Let's talk about what you did, right? But they were denied access in there. So it's like, because y'all are, eating chicken or biscuits or whatever it is you're doing, and that's a good man, because you know him personally, but are you not abreast of what's going on and what has gone on with them, and that they sabotage Black people, the very people that they're going to need to vote for them again in November? You're not even stopping to say. I would say there was one elderly sister there. She was stopping to talk, although it was a little bit more on the combative side. She's trying to, change their mind and this, that, and the other. And they're like, nah, there's no more changing our minds. There's no more trying to convince us why we need to keep waiting and what he couldn't and wouldn't and should have. We know what he did, and that's why we're here. We're not here on a Saturday afternoon for absolutely nothing because he's a good man, right? We're here because he might be a good man personally to y'all, but he's not a good man to his voters. And the other thing too, in regards to ducking, the days of politicians ducking are over. Because where are you gonna go? Every move you make, every breath you take is on the internet. It's everywhere, right? And so people are and I call this the age of knowing. We are in the age of knowing where we know now before, and that's why y'all got to pay attention. The media, and I say even those in Washington, are mad at social media. That's why, in my opinion, you see TikTok under assault 14 states just sued TikTok today, talking about, oh, it's influencing our children. But what it really is that the dissemination of information is in juxtaposition to what they have been putting out and brainwashing everybody else and telling you this is what it is. But then you got something like TikTok and all the other entities like, nah, this is what it is. So you have to bring Bill Saley, rather, I think that's his name, Saley. You bring him into the mix. He got his phone. He's like, oh, word. Look what they doing. And he put it out. That, don't take my word for it, because y'all gonna think I'm a Republican. I'm lying to you. I'll break out this phone. I put it on social media that the Black caucus, that y'all to have all this faith in, you're out there hopeful. They in there sitting on their hands saying, F you Black people.
As a matter of fact, one of the Black caucus members came out and was just shucking and jiving after the bill had failed. He was just like all in our faces.
They was doing it even in this video. They was playing around and laughing and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Right. So again, and we've been saying this for years, Demetria, we've been doing this for at least 8 years, if not longer. And for the first time, and this, believe it or not, the Democratic Party is the one that is trying to restrict the internet. They've been trying to do this for years, because what we found out as Black people, see, before the Civil Rights generation, it was a regional thing. Mississippi had its problems. The South, as in general, had their problems. The North had their problems. But what we're finding because of the internet is that Black people have a universal problem altogether, and they don't want that. Just like they said, what was one of the biggest fears that J. Edgar Hoover put out about Black people and Black leaders? The rise of a Black Messiah. If we were all on the same page, speaking in the same language, and that's what the internet has done. We are finding out that, hey, wow, we're getting beat up the hell over here in California. They're getting beat up over there in Atlanta, in Kentucky, in Ohio. We're having the same problems. Race soldiers here, race soldiers there, race soldiers here. And so now we are speaking with one voice on the national level, and the pressure on the CBC is tremendous. Maxine Waters, I can only speak about what I know. Maxine Waters, she's not even a baby boomer. She's a silent generation person. Ask yourself, what is this lady still doing in representation? And if you look at her district, it looks like crap. It's mostly Hispanic now. They built a stadium in a big part of it. Most of her Black constituents have fled into the city of Moreno Valley, where I live, because they can't afford to live in the where she represents. She is planning to die on the throne with nobody that looks like her having to take that position. A friend of mine was saying this, and my friend was a baby boomer. And she was saying she loves, who's that young girl from Texas?
Jasmine Crockett.
Loves Jasmine Crockett. Ooh, that Jasmine Crockett's on fire. And I asked, I said, well, what is it that you love by her? Well, she just tells it like it is. I said, does she tell it like it is? Or is she telling it the way you like to hear it? Because she isn't saying anything new that the baby boomers haven't already heard. And the person had to sit and kind of pause about that. She just liked what she heard, because again, if you're an older generation person, you're comfortable hearing what you're used to hearing. And I said, this is a young person and she's sounding like an older person. So what does that tell you about where she stands on things? And this is where we're at. We are talking as one voice. We are seeing what is happening in our face, be it Democratic, be it Republican. Black people, it is us against the world. It just is. And if we do not, and I know you guys have followed this show long enough to see Demetria and I mess with the numbers. And I have said the majority of Black people are below the poverty level, at the poverty level, or just above it. There is no question in my mind that now we are a permanent underclass. And the only way we're going to get out of it is reparations. And if we do not pull together and demand it, stop asking, demand it. And if these representatives are not going to deliver, we're done. You guys are worried about the migrants right now? No, that isn't who you need to worry about. Yes, it's a problem. But guess what? While those migrants are waiting 5 years for their immigration case to come up, right? they're going to be overwhelmingly judged to be in the country illegally. That's what's going to happen. The case is going to come up. You're illegally. You shouldn't be here. You got to go. But you know what they're going to say? But judge, I have a child that was born here in the United States. What do you think they're going to be doing for 5 years while they're waiting for their cases? They're going to be making babies. That's going to anchor them to stay here. You might not be threatened, but guess what? Your grandchildren will, and they will have no political voice.
Yeah. You know, and at some point in time, and I think that point in time is coming now, we have to understand that we don't have much time left to wait and see. We're going to give them a chance. They just got in the office, all that other stuff, because, again, those California politicians that did that to Black people were Democrats. And it's all the same playbook, right? Like Donovan said, Maxine, Kamala, nobody has said anything like, what a shame. How dare them, right? But then they'll go on one hand and say, well, Kamala supports reparations and Maxine Waters supports reparations. But yet they ain't say nothing about the sabotaging that went on with reparations. That would, if Gavin would have voted on that, that would have been a copious amount of money and land to descendants of, slavery of California. But they decided, yeah, I got my piece of the pie. So, and that's the other thing I think we need to realize too. And I was having this conversation with somebody earlier, is that we've gotten it all wrong. We've got it all backwards. We think that we send politicians to office and then we work for them. No, they work for us. So I say all that to say, you got the California, legislator caucus, they think they can speak for the rest of us. They took it upon themselves to say they don't need no money. They don't need no land. In fact, we're not even going to have it be voted on. But yet now, as Donovan said, they ducking and dodging. They don't want to face the music. But any other time, you have yourself at a church. Hey, I need y'all to vote for me. This, that, you'll have fish fries. You'll have picnics, and I've been to a few of Corey Jackson things, when he first was starting out. I think he was trying to get on the school board, and then he was trying to get the city council, and now he's, gone on a higher aspirations, and he's a different person than when he first ran. He was real humble, and he would go out and have little coffee with Corey. That was his thing. Coffee with Corey. He would go to a coffee house locally, and they'd sit up, and they'd be able to ask him questions, and he was a humble guy. But of course, he gets up there and he's smelling himself a little bit, and he, along with his homies, feel like they could speak for the rest of Black people. Again, he started off as a humble guy. Now he's getting probably a little bit more of this, He's getting some of that.
And I'm going to cut you off, and that's true because his money's coming from the Democratic Party. He is trying to be a shot caller in the 60th district, the cities within the 60th district. He is funneling money that comes through the Democratic Party to him, to other candidates. But that's how politics works in general. But he is basically being a shot caller.
Yeah, so we're going to say allegedly because I don't know how much where he's getting it from. But so he feels like I've got my piece of the pie. Forget y'all, I got mine. But not only am I not going to rally for you to get your piece, because they were all there during this study and stuff. I'm not even going to I'm not even going to put that pie in the oven. I'm not even going to put all the ingredients in there because you know why? I don't have any intentions on cooking the pie. And then what I'm going to do is when you show up to the table hungry with your bare bone, I'm saying, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't get everything I needed for the pie. But you know what? Because that's what they said. It needs a couple of more years for us to really see what we could do. So the pie, it wasn't going to be cooked right. So we need some time to figure out what kind of ingredients to get in the meantime. Because never mind, you was at the store, you had the list, you had everything you needed, you had the money, you had the list. Everything was in the store, you had everything you needed, but you chose to skip some of the ingredients so you can come to the table and say, oh, I'm sorry. Let me try that again while your damn stomach is grumbling.
A lot of people say this, Demetria, and it's so sad that people skipped history class or California history class, because I think that's a requirement that you got to take here in California. You got to take either California history or ethnic studies, right? And that's required. a lot of people keep saying California had nothing to do with reparations. Could you please explain? And even Gavin Newsom said it in his apology, why he had to apologize. Could you explain? Because there's a lot of ignorant people. California came in as a free state. Could you explain the reason why reparations in California is something that is real?
Well, for one, California was not technically a slave state. Obviously, that was, more so in the South, right? However, it was pro-slavery in that if a slave master moved from somewhere in the South to California with his slaves, even though California was not a slave state, he or she was allowed to keep their slaves. And if slaves ran away to California, they enacted the Fugitive Act, which says that a slave must be returned back, right? So they were full, throttle, and not you got to go back. Hello, Massa Sam, your property is here, right? Also, it wasn't just slavery. It's for the Jim Crow. Now, Jim Crow was everywhere. California participated, and probably in some degree, with redlining. Also, there's a lot of gentrification. There was a lot of eminent domaining of Black people's land. Bruce Beach is a perfect example of how that was taken from them, and then it had to be given back, and that was all symbolism, right? Because Gavin Newsom said recently in the bill that he vetoed, we're not giving no more land back, okay? And then California bought the beach back from, the Bruce family, whatever the case is. But so they didn't have plantations, but they didn't shun slavery. They actually helped further it once it got to California.
Right. So basically, California was complicit in facilitating the institution of slavery. Again, we were considered property. So it's kind of like a crime. If you were involved in it, you were involved in it. You are no different. If somebody got killed, even though you're just the driver in the participation of a crime or robbery, you are just as guilty as the person that actually did the crime. Right? Am I hitting that close to the source? So again, for those of you guys that skipped ethnic studies and California history, that is why California is on the hook for reparations in regards to Black people. And I got a lot of Hispanic friends that will say, well, California had nothing to do with it. I get it. I hear what you're saying. California used to be Mexico, whatever. I can only speak on the facts of where we are right now. United States, my address is not with Mexico. My address of reparations is with the United States of America. And that's, as a Black person, where I'm going to leave it. California is responsible and in as complicit. So I think that's very important. But going back to Mr. Jackson, you and I both have a history with him. I have a personal thing with him. But again, Demetra, this man will not meet with me. He will not return my phone calls or any of that. So what does that tell you about a person that you have a personal relationship with, and they can't even pick up the phone and call you and say, hey, let's have a conversation of what's going on? You must be guilty as hell to where you can't face me man to man and stand on your square and say, this is why I did what I did. What do you think?
I just think they're not used to having an answer to people. They're used to saying, this is what it is, and it is what it is. Do this, do that, and don't question me. And if you question me, I'm still going to do what I want, right? I just think that's what it is. And I think this is new territory for a lot of these modern day politicians, to where they have to answer for what they did in real time, as they call it in our community, pull up, right? At the pull up season. They're not used to people just pulling up like that, right? And so, in my opinion, I think Mr. Jackson and all of them should face that type of scrutiny. Everywhere you turn, everywhere you look, and you're allowed to do it by law. You're allowed to assemble and protest, right? Per the Constitution. So I think everywhere they go, Black people should turn up and say, oh, you thought you was about to have tea and crumpets with your homies? Oh, y'all thought y'all was finna be schmoozing? Now without this bullhorn outside, you ain't. You know what I mean? They need to be reminded every step of the way that you will be held accountable for what you did, because it was us that sent you there. We didn't send you there to ignore us and benign neglect. We didn't send you there so you could go help everybody else, and specifically people who could not and cannot and did not vote for you. And that is the immigrants there, especially in California. It's an immigrant problem. Even to the tune of, they did pass where they are going to spend $2.6 billion on healthcare, regardless of what their immigration status is. Now, Black people are predominantly Democrats. We are, just to a fault. And even in California, they could not have gotten to where they are. Those Black politicians, without the Black vote, and because they are so cavalier in thumbing their nose at the Black voter, everywhere they look, everywhere they assemble, it should be Black people. I don't care if it's just two, to say, oh, what we about to do today. Because whatever it is, pencil me on the agenda. Because I'm going to be out here with my bullhorn, letting you know that I'm not pleased with what you did.
Absolutely. And for those guys that don't know, a lot of events that a lot of these California CBC members were scheduled to attend, they have canceled. And the leader of the California CBC is a female. I forgot her name. And she has been ghost. She has been ghost. These events have been canceled. They do not. What it is they're going to try to rest on pretty. And we have less than 30 days for an election. And these people just, you got to understand this. With the illegal migrants and the Hispanic population coming in, it is just a matter of time before these people will be voted out of office. If not by Black people, because again, in California, there's not enough Black people to have a political voice. But let's be real, Demetra. It's just human nature. Hispanics vote for Hispanics in general. Asians vote for Asians in general. Blacks vote for Blacks in general, because we, as a human, we have this innate thing that think that somebody that looks like us understands our needs and our wants, and you vote for that person because that person has a similarity to us. So let's get real. If Black people are being gentrified out of LA, which they are, how long do you think there's going to be a Black presence in LA, in Southern California, period? It's very little. Day by day, more and more Black people are fleeing California for the simple fact that economically we are being gentrified out of California. They have now criminalized homelessness. Now let's go back to what I said earlier, maybe five minutes earlier in this clip. If Black people are the most homeless in the nation, specifically Black women and children, and in California, no doubt Black people are the most homeless here. And they've criminalized homelessness. 1 + 1 is 2, you guys. What do you think is going on here? So if we're the most homeless and it's a crime to be homeless, what do you think is going to happen overall? I'm not saying they're going to incarcerate everybody, but let's use our basic math. How much of a ratio of that homeless Black population do you think is going to be incarcerated? And that's where we're at, you guys. You guys got to look at this. This is Democratic policy. This is Democratic policy.
So it's Lori Wilson. She is the chair of the California Legislative Black Caucus. But yeah, I don't know. It's exhausting, honestly. But
shame a woman. Shame a woman.
Well, I mean, you can shame the woman, but there's a whole lot of Black men there as well. And I always say that to y'all. Y'all don't complain about, and I'm sorry if I'm freezing up, y'all, but I think y'all can hear me. Don't complain about the woman in leadership. You got men there, because often we hear to complain about, oh, women won't let us lead. The Black woman won't let us lead. And as I always say, I don't care. Y'all can argue with your mama, not me. Ain't no Black man worth his weight talking about a woman won't let him do nothing. Okay. Like I said, I grew up in one of the manliest men on the planet. And he says I've never heard my dad concede power to no woman over no nonsense. I ain't talking about, regular everyday stuff, but it's some nonsense. He says, no, ain't no woman ever going to rule over me, especially.
That's why I love your daddy. I love your daddy.
Especially if she a foolish woman. And, Lori Wilson is a foolish woman. She's the one that said, oh, well, we decided that it needed more time. It just wasn't the right time. It's like, what was this we? Because when we say we mean the people that took you and sent you to office. We didn't send you to office to negate the wishes of the people who sent you there. Who is this? We've decided. You don't get to decide what we've already decided for you. We have decided that we were going to send you to office to go do the bidding of the Black people, at least in addition to, right? And you decided, well, it wasn't time yet. But guess what? Whatever district she's in, it needs to be decided by the constituents that your time is up, okay? You ain't getting no more time. Yeah, and that's very cavalier to think that, oh, well, you know, you guys are going to send us back in the office and then we're going to sit there and we're going to negotiate. Well, you ain't going to negotiate nothing. It was never in the plan for you to negotiate anything for Black people. And that's why I said, when I saw the brothers and sisters there in California turning up, that did me proud. I was like, you know what? About time we get together. Stop being scary. Stop saying, oh, well, we going to, wait and see and all. Nah. We done waiting and see. We ain't seen all we need to see from you. You will not eat another buttery biscuit on a dime in the votes of Black people. And I say this to everybody. Like, if not now, when? We don't have another election cycle in us to wait and see or hold them accountable. They don't want to be held accountable. The same conversation with Kamala. Oh, we got to hold her accountable. It's like, stop the cap. You can't hold Kamala accountable because if you could, she in there now. Why you ain't holding her and Biden accountable now? It's because you don't have the ability outside of the ballot. As Malcolm X said, it's going to be the ballot or the bullet. You decide. It's easier for you to exercise your right, not in the sense that they're telling you to, but the right to get the right people in office. And if they go to office and they don't do what they're supposed to do, then you make them a one-term politician, not 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Like, God rest her soul. Sheila Jackson Lee died on the seat knowing she had cancer that in a lot of cases it is incurable. She knew that. Ran for mayor. Now, mind you, Sheila Jackson Lee was in her 70s. Ran for mayor, lost that, and then says, well, okay, I'm going to run for Congress again, which she still would have been running if she's alive. But it's like, I don't want to say she's done absolutely nothing. She's done some things, but the things that you've done, can Black people say that they are better off with you spending time in office since the 90s? I've talked to a lot of Black people in Houston. They said no, which is why she was fighting an uphill battle for the mayorship. But it's on us as the voter to say, no, we don't know. We want to go with somebody else. And to that, they're trying to put Sylvester Turner in her place to run for Congress. He was mayor twice. Black people were not better off because of him. And now he's going to go and he's in his 70s and he just got through battling cancer.
And did you guys vote for Sylvester Turner? Was there a primary to vote for him?
No, they just decided
the Democratic Party again authoritatively said, hey, this is who you're going to do. This is who we're going to go with. That's it. Wait a minute. I thought the Democratic Party was supposed to be the party of democracy. How is that the Democratic when you're putting in somebody that nobody voted for?
Nah, because they had this fake debate is what it was. They had some pretty good people up there, some younger people, and whoever the society of the committee of decided, they gonna put Sylvester up. And he said, well, I'm just holding the seat until somebody else comes along. It's like we had 6 other people at least up here debating with you, and you gonna hold the seat. Now, see, you're lying. And the other thing is, oh my God, they're gonna put him in there. They're gonna vote him in there. And why? Because he's Black. He's Black. We're gonna vote him in there. He, was here 2 years. And I would venture to say John Whitmire, who was a Democrat, he runs more like a conservative. He's got a lot of stuff done since the time he's been in office, since January, essentially. He's got a lot of stuff done. He's like, I'm not playing. This is what we need to do. We cleaning house at City Hall. That we cleaning house in the police department because y'all is with the stuff. With these cancer clusters, we digging into that. We're going to move people if they want. Like, he's really doing stuff, right? He says, we doing something about these potholes because they effort up people's cars. We're doing something about these stray dogs that's running around, and you hear a story probably once a week of people being mauled to death by these dangerous dogs that are just on the loose, right? So he says, we're doing something. But Sylvester Turner was the mayor 2 terms, and all that stuff was going on. Why did it take somebody else to come in there? And now you're going to take your black ass to Congress to do what? And I'm going to hold the seat.
Yeah, but at 70 something years old, again, here's my question for you, Demetra. Constitution basically sets limits for our leaders and stuff like that. Now, local municipalities and stuff, I get it. If you got a person that's really doing the job and they're doing a really great job, that's great. But there does come a time, like in any employment that you have, like me being in the military, I can't stay in the military past a certain amount of time. I have to leave. Eventually, I have to go. I can't stay there forever, depending on your rank and all this other stuff, right? And we're seeing the problem with the silent generation and the baby boomer generation. You've got people in Congress. Again, we have a president that has in cognitive decline and has been in cognitive decline since he took office. And, Donald Trump is only 3 years younger. I'm not saying, he's, some people fare better than others. But let me just ask you this off the top of my head, off the cuff. Would you consider or would you believe that we need a maximum age limit for president and in municipalities?
The short answer, yes. The long answer is they'd have to get rid of the ageism laws, because there's laws that protect against ageism, meaning you can't discriminate against people due to their age, right? But I think that's why term limits are important, because obviously with president and, in certain positions, there's term limits. But when you're so selfish to where you sit on the seat forever, it's like you're in your 70s and 80s, right? You want to govern, but you're not bringing in new ideas because, things have evolved. When a lot of these baby boomers, hell, when we were around, there was no social media, there was no internet, right, or anything like that. But then you have these older politicians who are like, well, if it ain't broke, let's not fix it. They want to govern from the 1960s, but it's 2024, and it's like you're robbing generations of younger people that got better ways and newer ways, right, of looking at things and doing things, but they're not even getting the opportunity to implement them things because, for one, those younger people, they don't vote as much as the baby boomers. And because the baby boomers aren't moving aside, right? They're not saying, here, I've been here 30 years. Let's see what you could do. And we stay stagnant as a society and even the world, because there's other places around the world. Fidel Castro, God bless his soul, he died. I think power went to his brother. The Queen Elizabeth, she was damn near 100. Then went to her son. It sounded like he got cancer. Then it'll go to his, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, at what point do new people get to come in and move the ball forward? Or are you not interested in moving the ball forward?
Right, but you also got to look at the situation now. The reason why most young people don't vote is they're so damn busy trying to make a living and fend for their families that they don't have time. And in this country, Australia, it's a law. You have to vote there. It's a law. You have to vote. Why isn't in this country, if democracy is so important and we're the bastion of democracy, why don't they make it a holiday, a national holiday where people have to, you don't have to vote if you don't want to, but you know what I mean? Like a holiday where it's like, okay, this is the day, if you choose to vote, this is the day you can do it. And we don't do that in this country. You know what I mean? We don't make it easy for people to vote. We just don't. Yeah, you got the absentee ballot, but look at the problem with the absentee ballot. To me, the absentee ballot, and don't quote me on this, was for people that were in the military that were overseas. That you're overseas, so you're not home, so you have to vote from overseas, and you're doing this. Now we're having problems with the absentee ballots because all these votes are coming in and nobody knows where they're coming from. But my point is, in a democracy, and America is so great about democracy, why are we making it harder for younger people to vote rather than easier? Because like I said, if I'm retired, I have nothing else to do but vote.
Yeah, I guess you could probably try to force people to vote, make it some law or something, but you can't say, we know it's a republic, but you can't say that we have a democracy and you force people to vote. And then the other thing is, you might force people to vote for somebody they don't want to vote for, because you got to remember too, as much as they say, oh, you got to vote, no voting actually helps a lot of candidates, right? we know, especially on the local level, there's some people who go unopposed. We know there's candidates who win with 200 votes and it was only 300 people that voted, so a lot of times those no votes help people. But like you said, the younger generation, they're actually just hopeless. What am I going to vote for? That's what you hear a lot of young people say. Like you said, they're too busy trying to survive, but then it's like nothing is changing because you got the old hats that are still in office. They don't want to move, and then they don't legislate for younger people. They legislate, right? They legislate. It's a good man in there. They legislate for themselves and status quo and the way it is. And so then you got these younger people are just like, you know what? Take your vote and shove it. I'm going to go to my third job of Taco Bell, try to pay this high ass rent that you guys want 3 to 6 months of income because you guys won't change the laws on that either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and what I mean by I don't want to make people vote. What I'm saying is you give a holiday that says this is a voting day. Everybody should have the day off. If you choose to vote or if you don't, it's on you. But this is a day where, it's a national holiday and you have time to vote. That's what I'm saying. Now,
we're going to be doing the electric slide with some barbecue and Frankie Beverly playing.
No voting, no bucking.
Ain't nobody going to no polls. What you bringing? The tater salad? The baked beans? What you bringing? That's
right,
that's what we gonna get together about.
Right, but I really believe like ideas like that. I'm a younger person compared to the baby boomers. Why don't they make a national holiday for voting and just let me say this is a day where if you want to vote or if you don't want to vote, whatever, the presidential, whatever the national election is on this day this year. It's a day where you could vote and just do what you got to do. If you don't vote, fine. But the point is
just one day, not it's on one day anyway, but just
it's on one day. Yeah. It's a national holiday, you're getting paid or whatever. And if you vote or not, it doesn't matter. But the point is you're making it easier for people to vote because now guess what? Oh, I don't have to work on this holiday, so I'm gonna go vote.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and then some people who they get off work and the last thing they want to do is stand in line for 3 hours to cast a vote. So yeah, I mean, even though we know a lot of cases polls are open for all day and sometimes into the evening, but yeah, you would think that they would. But like I said, there's got to be something to it that benefits somebody when people don't vote as much as they tell you. Like what the Democrats say, well, if you don't vote, I'm talking to Black people, that's gonna go to Trump. That's a yada. See, that's what you get. Assuming I was going to vote anyway for the Democrats, But I will say this, I can't wait till this election season is over. But even with election season on the federal level, we got work to do on the state and local level, as with, the California Legislative Black Caucus that shanked Black people in the back. They got to go. It's because they're the ones that directly affect the lives of their constituents on the state and local level. Kamala, Trump, whatever they're doing. I mean, yeah, they starting and funding wars and stuff like that. But yeah, we got to worry about the judges, the sheriffs, the DA, people like that. Your city council, Congress, assembly people. You got to worry about all those because they're the ones that directly affect your life. Governor.
Well, I just want to say this to you guys. The lady that was like, "That's a good man in there," was Demetra's dance teacher. Yes. So I'm glad you admitted that and whatever. I'm sure she would be horrified that you didn't go for that good man back there. But here's the thing, Demetra.
I mean, we've had conversations about, different candidates and stuff. I've never changed. I've never been.
Absolutely.
I've never been, I've never been. And she knows that. We've had a lot of heated conversations.
Well, the thing is too, when you got a mentor and a mentee relationship, you're supposed to grow from that relationship as the mentee. Not necessarily have to follow what your mentor is doing, but you're supposed to grow and learn from that person. But I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this to the internet world. Demetra, it's all hands on deck. You need to come back to California, and we need to take these on call. So This is your call to come back to California. We need all hands on deck so we can have a voice.
Well, we'll be back there next week. So if you want to find out where Mr. Jackson is hanging out, we'll show up. How you doing? We'll show up. I'll be your, you know what? Maybe I'll name him Huckleberry.
Huckleberry. I'll be your Huckleberry.
I'll be your Huckleberry. You know what I mean? I'll show up. You know, I ain't never scared, you know, which is why Mark DeConnell ran up on me at the Black History Parade talking about, we're not going to have any trouble, are we? I'm like, how your Asian ass telling me what to do at a Black History Parade? It seems like you are the round hole in a square peg, sir. Don't tell me we aren't going to have a problem. First of all, I was minding my black ass business and you Y2C'd your ass in front of me and said something to me. Now I'm going to keep talking about you.
See, and that's the thing I try to tell people, especially when they disagree with me or whatever. We have, and no shade to anybody else. I know you guys are squeezing out a living, trying to make that mortgage and house payment, and car payment, and, you know, kids' tuition for school and all this other stuff you guys are doing. But there's a stark difference between you casual political people that pay attention every 4 years and versus people like us that research and do this 365 all year long. There's a stark difference. Again, I don't know, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn or toot your horn, Demetra, but I just interviewed a local candidate last night, interviewed another candidate before that. I know the mayor. I know Corey. I have personal relationships with these people. When I come into a room, these politicians are shook. So if you aren't on that level and, you know, and when you walk in and you can make a difference from being outside of the political realm, please don't sit there and tell Donovan Sadiq, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, because I'm going to tell you, I have made an impact in my community. If you take it for negative or positive, it doesn't matter. The point is I'm engaged. I go to city council meetings. I go to planning commission meetings. I know what's happening in my city, and I question my government constantly. So there's something to take with you.
Absolutely. So listen, we're going to get on out of here. We'll be back here at 5 p.m. Central Time. I think I know what we're going to talk about, but, you know, because the news changes a lot, it may change. I also want to give a little bit of conversation to the hurricane that is approaching the west coast of Florida. It is downgraded from a category 5. They said it'll be a 3, but a 3 is still bad. They've asked people to evacuate and say there will be casualties, loss of property, and a whole host of stuff. So we're going to talk about that, and it's going to be in relation to Kamala Harris and Ron DeSantis. So in the meantime, you guys be blessed, and we'll see y'all in just a few. Peace.